Hi, my name is Colleen Bevenour, and today we're going to talk about moving from what is to what if, and how our thinking habits can impede our strategic thinking. We work in a challenging environment made more so by continual disruption, and many have characterized this environment as volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous, also known as VUCA, V-U-C-A. And this VUCA environment requires new ways of thinking and innovative approaches to solving both our companies' and our customers' problems. Back in January of 2014, there was an article in Harvard Business Review by Nathan Bennett and C. James Lemoyne. And they shared their frustration that VUCA has become almost an excuse to avoid the hard work of strategic thinking and planning. And they offered ideas for how to identify, prepare for, and respond to events in each of those four categories: complexity, volatility, ambiguity, and uncertainty. And we're going to post that to the Business Accelerator website for you. I encourage you to take a look at it, because I think the situations they describe and the way that we work and think when we're faced with those situations will be very relevant to you. So take a look at that article. You know, we can't avoid the important work of thinking and planning strategically just because of a VUCA environment. Rather, we should let the VUCA environment be a catalyst for us to why we have to think more strategically and plan more strategically. You know, everybody throws around the phrase strategic thinking, and you know, in my way of thinking, strategic thinking is about asking different questions than we typically ask. It involves looking out across the landscape versus down at our work. By looking across, I mean that we look at the market itself to discern what dynamics are at play that are currently and will shape healthcare decision-making, business decision-making, clinical practice, and patient access. And we need to continually monitor and acknowledge those dynamics and the fact that they're shifting, and the fact that they'll impact our ability to achieve our goals. However, for most of us, there's a lot of factors that thwart or limit our strategic thinking, and one of the major limitations is the experience that we've had creates bias when we look at a situation and perceive different options. And it limits our ability to hear and what we believe about those situations. So what do we do then? How do we set free our strategic thinking capabilities? Well, the first thing is to learn about the biases that exist and which ones we have a tendency towards. And then to take a second step once you identify them and to proactively suspend those biases so that you can look objectively at what's going on in your marketplace and make informed decisions about what to do. Speaking of decisions, we all make decisions every day, and we deal with all kinds of different situations. And a lot of those decisions, in fact, most of them are made without conscious thought. And so that's both good and bad. The first step to improve our thinking is to get much more conscious of when we're making decisions and become purposefully aware of them in order to make better decisions. So we need to challenge our own thinking very consciously, be very aware of, hey, I'm in the middle of a decision process and I need to look at this objectively. So most people don't function this way, and there's a reason for that. Our rational thinking as humans limits our thinking, and this bounded rationality is the idea that we're limited by the perception of how easily we can deal with or control a problem or a situation, the limits of our traditional thinking, and in fact, the time we have available to make a decision. An economist, Herbert Simon, originated this decision-making concept called satisficers, and he said that most decision makers seek a satisfactory solution, so satisfice, versus an optimal solution. And I don't think that's what we want in our business world. So we want to look at a concept called cognitive biases. These are the modes of thinking that cause us to deviate from standard rational thinking and good judgment. They impact our perceptions, and we all have them. We all have different cognitive biases. In fact, if you look at the Business Accelerator website, you'll find that we have a list there of 13. And while 13 is a lot, it's not an exhaustive list. There's 50 or so cognitive biases, but these are the ones that we feel are most relevant to the work that we're doing. And, since we know that we all have these cognitive biases, I think it would be in our best interest to know which ones limit our thinking, because we're all different, and we're all different based on the experiences we've had, our cultures, and the work that we do. And so what we'd like for you to do is go to the website and download the Cognitive Biases Self-Assessment, and take a few minutes to honestly reflect and ask yourself, which tendencies have you seen manifest in your own thinking? Which ones have you seen those on the team or in the organization tend towards? Because organizations are made of people who together tend towards different biases. And which of the biases create the most challenges for you to achieve your goals? So take a few minutes to do that, and then what we'd like to do is we'd like to come back and say, so what? What do we do now? Now that I know I have these and I know which ones I tend towards, what do I do about it? Well, the way that we define a situation, for example, as a problem or an opportunity, strongly influences the choices we perceive. And these mental modes or frames are commonly knee-jerk reactions. We don't consciously think about them. And these frames drive us towards the kinds of solutions we consider or develop. So to overcome our natural tendencies and biases, we need to reframe each situation. One technique that you can use is to shift the perception that you have immediately to the opposite perception. So if you naturally look at a situation right away and say, this is a problem, ask, what is the opposite? What if we did nothing? What if we did the opposite? How is this an opportunity? If you immediately perceive something as a positive opportunity, you also need to take a step back and say, okay, this could very well be an opportunity, but what if? What if there's a problem embedded in this opportunity? What if there's risk embedded in us responding to this opportunity? What are they? And by attempting to push yourself to these opposite frames of thinking, you're going to fully explore the situation in a way that you haven't before, and you're going to unearth a whole range of options and ideas. And the same approach can be used to overcome those cognitive biases that we all have. Based on the results of that self-assessment that you've done, you can use the checklist that we have posted, which is the Cognitive Biases checklist, to help you overcome those natural tendencies that you have. And all this checklist is a list of questions to push your thinking to a different frame of reference so that you can explore all of the possibilities that are open to you in each situation and approach them more objectively.